61,000. Right now it's about 64,000, almost just crossed 750. You see Bitcoin moving right there, up over 2%. All right, turn our attention back over to oil. WTI and Brent spiking on word of Israel carrying out strikes in Iran. As we mentioned, both have pulled back a bit after that initial pop. You see in the moves on the chart right now. Right now, Brent crude up almost 0.5%. WTI up just over 0.5%. For much more on this, let's bring in Amrita Sen, founder and director of research at Energy Aspects. Amrita, good morning. Good to have you here.
Morning. Yeah, twice in a week. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, twice. I got to see you in person as well. So let's get down to business on this just for a second. The oil markets, we saw them spike about 3%. They pulled back quite a bit right now. Is the oil market responding to what they believe is a de-escalation right now? Do they believe that perhaps this issue has, quote unquote, been resolved, as Iran tried to say, now that Israel has made these strikes? Is that why we've seen oil prices pull back? Or is there something else pulling them back? Because they spiked very quickly and they pulled back relatively quickly as well.
I think the spike was on headlines, right? You always tend to get that reaction, but you're exactly right. And our view has been that we don't think this is going to escalate out of hand, that yes, Israel is going to respond. But again, also in terms of the way they've responded, it's very much a message being sent to the Iranian leadership that, look, should we choose to attack, we can, right? It's a warning sign more than anything else. And that's what we had very much expected them to do. It's a calibrated response, and it's not likely to escalate the situation further. Now, that doesn't mean that there are still no risks of miscalculation. That still is there. I don't think the market can afford to sell off significantly. But look, on a fundamental basis, we have been calling for a pullback in the near term. It's just seasonally a softer period, right? We had a premature rally. We need to rebase before we can rally quite a bit harder in the summer. That's when the fundamentals really kick in with over 2 million barrels per day of stock draws.
You know, Amrita, it's so interesting. You're calling for a pullback. I had a guest on Street Signs earlier today. He called for oil to possibly go up to $100 a barrel. The thing he was really citing is the possibility of Iranian proxies stepping up their attacks in the Strait of Hormuz. He says there's about 21 million barrels per day that could be cut off, or even part of that's cut off. It would lead to an oil rally. You don't see the same risk when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz or even prices moving higher?
I don't think we actually see the Straits of Hormuz being a risk, simply because Iran uses the straits themselves to sell their oil, over 1 million barrels per day that they're selling to China, right? So they wouldn't necessarily be harming themselves. Again, if the situation were to escalate, of course we can hit triple digit. And that's why I'm saying we can't rule out the possibility of miscalculation, but that's not the base case. The base case is that, flat price will remain relatively supported. Small pullbacks, but relatively supported. But generally speaking, if the market realizes that we are not going to be losing oil and gas supplies with a seasonally weaker fundamental backdrop, it's more likely than not that we're not going to be going up. Maybe we drift a bit lower.
All right, Amrita Sen, it is always great to see you looking at oil prices. Just pulling back just a little bit right now. Brent crude up about 1/3%. WTI up under 0.5% right now. Always great to see you. Thanks for your time and for your insight. All right, coming up, an exclusive